And I'm live. Though I don't need a magic machine to tell me it, I will note that the magic machine has told me that I'm presently live. AIDMs and virtual tabletop technology is wizards dealing with a reality we just don't want to face. And I say hello. Speaking of realities I don't want to face, the elephant in the room. Hello, bitch. Eat shit and live, god damn it. Eat shit and live. Spin. We say hello to Golden Coin. Elephant in the room. Gold medal. It's around here somewhere. Boop. Oil check. Stopped on a whammy. Golden Coin 100. Ironically, receiving the silver. Jonacide. Getting the bronze. Spooky. Honorable mention. Fourth place. No medal onto the, but an honorable mention. Blueberry Wolf Bridge. To all my friends. Blueberry Wolf Bridge for my friends. There you go. And Prag Magic. There you go. And we say hello to Keats and Prag Magic. There you go. Oh ho, it's magic. You know. Listen. Everybody in the role-playing game space, it's oh ho. Hey man, let's give the nerds ecstasy and watch them get excited. We say hello to Mario Heat. Oh my God, we say hello to Mark Tarana. Is it somebody's first time? Woo, have we not felt this way before? I. Are people having like recurring experiences of social isolation? I mean, gosh almighty. People making the same, you're talking about the same topic ad infinitum. Well, I mean, when you talk about something you have no comprehension of, that's easy to do. You'll end up saying stupid things over and over again, passionately. Well, it's wonderful. So we're like into week 2 of the complete overreaction meltdown. Nobody has to worry about any of this stuff. Look, if you're a consumer, here's really what you have to do. Here's what you can do. I mean, give a damn about where stuff comes from. I mean, is it environment, is it reasonably, know what companies you deal with and what they're up to. I mean, if the company is poisoning the environment and beating the kids in the factory, I mean, stop buying, right? We say hello to truth seekers. God bless you. Mario Heat, I don't know if I missed you. If I did, I apologize. But, other than that, folks, look, just, hey, oh shit. New edition came out, new magazine came out, new product came out. Oh no, it's the new edition of it's 1993. Is how the titties on the new harpy look. I don't know about that face, but if I do one of these, oh ho, it's magic, you know. Hey, hold on, wait. And now that I'm looking over here at her dance partner over here, right? I'm noticing if I take this guy, if I do one of these, hold on, wait, stop. Kidding. That's what she said for +2 damage. 2 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 damage Well, we're doing the lich. The YouTube lich. Watsy got the glitch. So now we're doing the lich. Oh yeah. We're all doing the what are we all playing now? What's the new what we're all brainwashed to play Pathfinder, right? Because the corporate douchebag overlords over at Watsy are such corporate scumbags. We're gonna have a people's revolution and go to their second biggest competitor, another corporation that was literally an adjunct corporation to the original corporation. Pazio were only the publishers of the magazines that were maintained by Wizards of the Coast, previously maintained by TSR. TSR had a very close relationship with a publishing company that maintained their basically their in-house magazines. Dungeon magazine, I think it was, in Dragon magazine, right? And then at fourth edition, when Watsy decided to go say they were going to go their own way, Paizo, under the using the SRD, the OGL, we've all heard this story 1,000 times. Basically, all they did was take what was originally the 2000 edition of Wizards of the Coast's 3.0 Dungeons and Dragons, updated to that was then at that point in 2003 updated to 3.5, and they just changed it enough legally to turn it into Pathfinder, creating Pathfinder, aka Dungeons and Dragons 3.75. That's it. So literally you have people out here saying, we're not going to take it. We're going to overthrow our corporate overlords and go to another corporation. It's the sickest joke. Calling it a revolution, a people's revolution, and saying that, and I'm going to be completely honest here. There are people that are disclosing that they're partners for Pathfinder as they're then launching into, and we're going to, the people's revolution is happening now. I'm disclosing, I got to disclose I'm a partner for Pathfinder, which is why I'm totally stoked to Pathfinder's leading the charge in this revolution against Watsy. Of course they're leading the charge against Watsy. They're the fucking competition. This is like Pepsi going, God damn it. Holy shit. When we were over at Pepsi and we found out how Coca-Cola was fucking the American people, we were like, God damn it. We're your competitors in the marketplace. And you make us better. We make you better. And we're competing. But when we saw that you were charging that much money, we were like, oh, fuck you. These are the gamers. No, fuck you. Are you fucking kidding me? It's fucking sad. You fucking losers. If you go play Pathfinder after leaving Dungeons and Dragons 5 point whatever, you eat cotton candy for like out of the ass of Donald Trump and think that I don't know what you do, but you're on some special kind of crack cocaine if you think that changed anything. If you're that stupid to go from Coke to Pepsi and think that you're part of some sort of revolution against some sort of corporate thing. And also, this is the other thing. And that's all ancillary to the title of this video. But I'm sorry if I go off on too many rants, but people are so stupid. These people that think they're so smart because you play a game that has a reputation for being a game for smart people. Folks, let me tell you something. There's so many lawyers out here demonstrating to you full on that you can be a moron and be a lawyer. I was, as a guy who's trying to be a better person, so many times having to control myself for making videos about this jabroni, the rules lawyer, jabroni. He's melting down. That guy's melting down. It's sad. He's headed for a heartbreak. That guy's headed for a heartbreak. The fame is the small, tiny little thing. These people are reacting to 7,000 views, 9,000 views, like they are 700,000 views. These guys think they're going to be PewDiePie. They have no concept of what the size of YouTube analytics are, what the size of these YouTube videos are. They think they're headed somewhere. And they think that their Patreon money is going to last for some extended period of time. They have no concept that that YouTube fame is, it's music business. It's comedians. It's actors and actresses. People like certain people for their lifetime, sure. Their favorite artists for a lifetime. But for the most part, people dip in and out of things. They do. And every year there's something new going on. And these guys are seeing it. They're lawyers. They got illegal things going on in role playing. So they got something to talk about. Yo, there's this guy, legal, whatever, Eagle or whatever, got involved on YouTube, did finally dipped in and start talking about this thing. Now this guy, rules lawyer, who by his own admission is not an intellectual property attorney, is now snapping back, clapping back, making videos like, did he get it wrong or he missed the point? Yo, you're doing analysis of somebody else's analysis. It's just obviously you're fucking lime green jelly. Because one of these, like, and what are you going to do? And now you're going to do an analysis when Radical Law finally gets around getting off his ass to do a video about it. You're going to do an analysis of Radical Law? Do that, because Radical Law will do an analysis of you. That'll be good. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Headed for a heartbreak. This guy is, trust me, he's chomping at it. He's streaming more and more. He can't get enough of it. He can't get enough of it. And I'm telling you, and I'm not saying that shit to be Mr. Jerk. I'm saying that because I lived and learned. When it was totally not necessary for me to disclose to the world of YouTube in another context, on another channel, that I was a lawyer for no fucking reason, to prove a point that didn't need to be proved by the fact, I could make the point that I could analyze an idiotic statement and prove that it was an idiotic statement without having to go to, and I know that's an idiotic statement because I'm trained as a lawyer to analyze or take people's depositions or whatever, but I just had to go there. Why? Because I was feeling myself, because I was, my YouTube channel analyzing conspiracy theory lunkheads was growing, and I was the same thing. I got it. Things start going to your head, you know what I mean? You start getting those views and you start making idiot decisions. But I knew that, law wasn't for me, and I was prepared to say of my, of my license doesn't necessarily get compromised, but if I don't necessarily make the, the best decisions regarding, future networking opportunities, or if I created a besmirchment upon my, permanent record in the public eye, it is what it is, because I don't really feel like doing this law thing. But I don't know if everyone's made those decisions. I think a lot of these people, just like I said, got out here and they called themselves Roll for the Law, or they call themselves Rules Lawyer, because why? They just happen to be a lawyer, and they happen to play role-playing games, and they made a YouTube video about role-playing games, and they happen to be a lawyer, and that old joke about rules lawyers, so ha ha ha. They're going to make a joke about the fact that they're a lawyer that plays role-playing games, and then this thing about the law came up, so they dovetailed into it. But here's the problem. When those other people like Radical Law and Legal Eagle or whatever made their decisions to make their YouTube channels based on contract analysis or based on analysis of legal issues on the internet, they did so much work to figure out what they could and couldn't say. They talked to other lawyers about, what this will be and what this will mean for their future, and what's the over under, and how that means that they're pivoting their practices, and that they won't necessarily be working in the future as a viable candidate for just a traditional corporate law office job. They're going to be now working as a social media hustler, that's going to be that kind of thing that they're doing, or just the things that they know or the research they've done about what they can really, really say or what they really, really can't say. Because I'm telling you, people are running their mouths. It's one thing to, for a guy that's just a guy or a gal that, talk about things. But first of all, like, people, is what it is. But anyway, the AI DMs and the VTTs, I mean, people are getting up in arms because let's do this. Just a couple of months ago, let's get to the heart of the issue. And pretty soon I'm going to have to leave. Well, we got some time. This is how stupid people are. I don't want to be insulting. Let me say this. The emperor has no clothes, and there's two ways to approach it. You can say the emperor has no clothes, and you can approach the people and say the people are stupid, the people are brainwashed, the people are morons. Or you can say, wow, there's something really, really weird happening. Something is affecting people's ability to either they are, look, you know what it's about. The emperor has no clothes. It's about, mass mind control and people being influenced and not calling things out for, as they are. And the zaniness that can ensue when that happens. And it's about, taking, that layer of that veneer of artificiality off of life and looking at it. But we normally don't do that. But we got to pause. Let's pause and take that veneer off, because this is so crazy. When I pause and do this, a couple of months ago, there was an article that came out in the New York Times. It was the New York Times Magazine section. It was the Sunday, science section or whatever. But it was about, and it caused a kerfuffle in the community because it was about a lack of DMs, dungeon masters, to run 5e in urban areas, like even places like Manhattan. And there was, a little, I talked about it briefly because, a guy called Ben, Questing Beast, who's got a pretty big channel, did a video about it, and then a whole bunch of people criticized his approach to it because it's, some of the things about the article talked about, the OSR and, why there might be a problem with people, being dungeon masters for 5e, and if there was particular problems with being a dungeon master for 5e. And then some people, that was a little bit of a conversation. What's interesting about it is this. When that article came out, there was a period of time when that article was what people were talking about. People were talking about the guy from Questing Beast, Joe the lawyer, Tankar's Tap Room were talking about it. Those guys from the OSR blogs were talking about it. For reals, they were talking about it. They did they specifically talked about Questing Beast's video about the issue. They had issues with Questing Beast's analysis of it. I talked about that. So we know that there were issues with people talking about, noting that there were a problem with the lack of DMs. And now this thing comes out where there's a whole big brouhaha because it's been revealed that part of WotC's One D&D thing is going to be a paid $30 per month service that involves artificial intelligent DMs. And they're like, oh my God, but no one's talking about the fact of, maybe they're doing that because they have to. And what do I mean by that? What's the reality that people don't want to face? Folks, when I started playing, tabletop role-playing games, I was 10 years old. It was 1985. It was, and I got into, primarily I was into Palladium role-playing games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness and the Robotech role-playing game. And of course, I was into Dungeons and Dragons, basic Dungeons and Dragons and advanced Dungeons and Dragons, of course, as well. I was basically into anything I could get my hands on. Get those hands on those things is the easiest. But I was really into the Palladium game. But whatever. Where am I going with this? I have no idea. But I was into it as a kid. Then I kind of got out of it. As I grew up, I was always into the hobby, as far as, being aware, always looking at the, the books when I'd be in a Walden Books or any sort of bookstore, always, if I saw, a book, at at a library sale or at a yard sale. Oh God, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like always grabbing, RPG materials and stuff where I could grab them and find them, just always staying on the edge. Always just being aware of, that it was, something was going on, something I remembered from my youth, and always had my books from my youth, never got rid of them. Always had them as cherished possessions. I don't know where I'm going with this, but hopefully I find myself. But it's hard. It's not easy to do this activity this way. Later on, when I first got a Nintendo, we started playing games like Super Mario Brothers and Metroid and Goonies, and I sucked at those games. Even Zelda, I really sucked at it. When I discovered like the first JRPGs, like Dragon Warrior, and like I had a conversion of, I forget what number it was, like of Ultima. They had a version of Ultima for the NES of all things. That was like, it was the craziest thing. It was like basically D&D. Like it was insane. Like you had like the cleric, like you could do like different parties. It was insane. And when I found that, I was like, holy shit! Like this is like Dungeons and Dragons. This is exactly what I want from like role playing. But it's like the things that made it so hard, the computer's doing, the Nintendo's doing. I know I sound like an idiot because you guys, a lot of people at this point in like 1989 or whatever, when I'm fucking around with my friggin', Nintendo friggin' Ultima, what the friggin' probably is like somewhere there's like a Nintendo article like the worst port of Ultima ever. Anyone who plays this port of Ultima is of the opinion that this game sucks. You would have to be the world's biggest idiot to like this game. And I'm here like, oh man, there was this port of Ultima for the NES. This game changed my life. When I think of that port of Ultima, it's like anyone like it's like the article's like goes on to say it's like if anyone ever says they like this port of Ultima, like shoot them, put them out of their misery. Like they have no soul. Confirmed, no soul. Whatever. Anyway. So anyway, but like whatever, like you guys were like probably like what I mean, like on your CRPGs, like actually like playing like things like I'm on my Apple IIc, like it's like it wait 3.5 seconds, it will render a room. Like anywho, whatevs. It was doing things, and I could tell that look, it's not that I'm trying to piss anyone off and say that this stuff is outmoded. But the reason that we do this stuff is, habitual, and it is nostalgic. And it's not that I don't think that there's value to this stuff, but it's like when I was thinking about recently about trying to get my kids into Dungeons and Dragons, I was aware of the fact that part of what I was trying to do was things like, and it's an excuse, and I'm not going to have them bring a calculator or an iPad or a tablet to the table because my kids are 11, they're twin, they'll practice math, right? It's educational. They'll practice math, they'll write, they'll use their imagination, right? I am thinking as a parent that part of why I want them to do D&D is it's going to be a fucking drag, right? It's going to involve math, it's going to involve complex problem solving, it's going to be a little bit like homework, right? It's going to suck. Right? I'm trying to bum them out. And they're resistant to it a little bit. And it's not like it's not fun, and it's not like I could know that there are people out there like, if you're out there saying that role-playing games are the best and, it's much better than computer games, okay. I mean, wonderful. You'll lose more weight riding a bicycle than you will a motorcycle. A motorcycle is not a bike. They're different things. I'm just talking about my personal experience. But here's the thing. You want to talk about the realities of situations? When Wizards of the Coast made the decision in 2008, in 2008, they tried what they're doing now that's pissing everybody off. before, and they got their asses handed to them. They became, for the first time, not the biggest role-playing game in the world. Now, when they have done such a big mistake and they come back and they do the exact same thing again, people are saying this is crazy. And I'm saying to you, when a billion-dollar corporation goes and does something that you think is suicide again, if you see Stephen Hawking and Einstein get together and try to build a small capsule device that's going to hurl them and their wives and children into the sun, it's because they know that there's something about being hurled into the sun that's going to like make them that's the black hole that leads to the universe that's going to be the universe that survives when this universe blanks out in about 3.5 years or whatever. Like, they're doing it for a reason, right? When Noah starts building the ark, everyone in the community goes, "Are you kidding me? You're an idiot." Right? When the floodwater comes, no one says that Noah's an idiot. Where am I going with this? The article came out just a couple of months ago, and everyone was talking about there's no DMs for 5e, and people were saying, it's because it's 5e sucks so bad and it's so complicated. And if people were just playing OSR first edition, then everyone would love it. Like first edition, like 90s, people are really out here acting like rulings, not rules is better. Like all this stuff. Like, are you kidding me? Like people really want to play. Basically, you have to understand something. The 1974 edition of Dungeons & Dragons was so crazy loose and needed to be put together with so many home rules that was basically imagination. Sometimes, it was zany. How kind of like loose things would get sometimes. Oh, I'm ignorant. Truth Seekers is Steven from Truth Seekers is shouting out early Dungeons and Dragons. I know that there's a whole big scene for people that were just into the Dungeons and Dragons books, games for the computer games, like those big box computer games, like from Sierra West and all that stuff. Yeah, he's got shouting out people's maybe the Silver Blades and other Dungeons and Dragons for early PC. Yeah. When Wizards of the Coast decided to basically create the MMORPG that was supposed to be played on a virtual tabletop, even though they didn't create the virtual tabletop in 2008, they did that for a reason. And you could say that they're idiots, so they were foolish for doing it. But I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know. I'm not the head of Wizards. I've never been the head of a multi-billion-dollar, multi-million-dollar corporation or whatever. Chances are, if you're hearing this video, neither of you. So there's a lot of people that are just running their mouths, and it's the barking of dogs. They're just giving you their opinion. Their opinion don't matter for shit because they just don't know what they're talking about. The reality is the reality. They were saying that it was so horrible and horrendous because, look, prior to this, they were saying, look, the critics of Wizards of the Coast were saying that Wizards of the Coast were trying to monetize the players because the DMs were the ones that were spending all the money, and they were trying to squeeze the players that they weren't previously squeezing. They wanted to squeeze the players like they were squeezing the DMs. No mention of this article that talked about no DMs in 5e or the people weren't being able to find DMs in 5e. It was always going back to this discussion about Wizards wanting to squeeze the players more. Then it turns out that they're when the players go in, they're going to be going into these virtual environments with potentially with AI DMs. Wait. I thought that these DMs were the ones that were previously the ones that were spending all the money. Folks, if there's AI DMs, it means there's no DMs. Guys, there's no fucking DMs. Guys, there's no players in real life. Folks, Wizards of the Coast are trying to turn Dungeons and Dragons into a video game. They're trying to turn Magic the Gathering, the collectible card game, into a virtual reality video game because nobody wants to play print games. And when I use the term nobody, that's a figure of speech. Don't tell me about your 11-year-old daughter whose eyes light up when you drop her off at that library program. First of all, are you a gamer? Because you're looking at her with jaundiced eyes. You're looking at her and you're dying to have her be excited. A lot of these kids don't give a fuck about Dungeons and Dragons. They're being made to play Dungeons and Dragons because their fucking nerd ass parents are just dying to love, to want to believe that their kids are going to want to love, to believe, to want to be in this hobby. And that doesn't mean that there's nobody that's going to take up this hobby. Hey kids, there are people that play Mancala, a game that's been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Do you want to play a game of Mancala with me tonight? Do you? Probably not. Probably not. You know what I mean? We're not in a nursing home yet. We'll get there eventually, but we're not there yet. So let's, hold off on the Mancala for now. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole bunch of things that we could do. We say hello to Charles Williamson. We say hello to Sarah the Mage. There's a whole bunch of things that we could do. Yeah, like, there we go. Here's Truth Seeker says, I like the early PC Dungeons and Dragons game on PC because you can play yourself without your dork friends and weird kids like CW Chanter in your house, referring to me. It's funny because, Truth Seeker Steven is said something to me on a DM that inspired me. I was going to make another video because, one of the big things that's happening in this scene is solo play, right? Solo RPGs, hashtag solo RPG is one of the best hashtags that you can use in this TTRPG space, or it was before friggin' hashtag WotC or 1D&D, whatever. Why do you think that is? For the same reason that people are talking about the lack of DMs, for the same reason that even Total Party Skills is out here. Everyone's out here. Like, dude, who's playing in real life? There's a whole bunch of people bullshitting. First of all, there's a whole bunch of people bullshitting. They get out here and they talk about my group, when my group gets together. How many of these people, honestly, do you know that their group is like them, their spouse, and like one other friend, straight up? Or their spouse, one other friend, and their friend's spouse. Honestly, are you talking about couples game night? Are you calling couples game night your gaming group? That is really, you're over romanticizing couples game night. And when you're doing that, people are bullshitting. People are acting like there's this huge, like, let's be honest. They're talking about these third-party developers, these third-party publishers. How much playtime how much gaming are people actually doing? I saw that hashtag solo RPG. My new revolution is going to be not solo RPG, no play RPG. Not solo play RPG, no play RPG. Because the majority of RPG experience that I have, and I think the majority of RPG experience that most people have, is actually reading. It's reading this material. It's reading this material. It's speculated upon this material. It's maybe thinking of, drawing up dungeons, rolling up characters, speculating about playing, thinking about playing, contemplating playing. When it comes to actually playing, I'm not even really that interested. You know what I mean? Fantastical imagination, whatever. But as far as the most of these people that are playing, they're playing on these virtual places anyway, with Roll20, or they're in these group environments, these Zoom environments. Why? The same reason. Most people who are into this scene are. It's the same thing with they're saying oh in the OSR scene, everyone just wants to be a GM. Everyone wants to be a GM. That they don't. Everyone doesn't. It's not the case that everyone wants to be a GM. It's the fact that everyone in the OSR has to approach the world with basically the exact same footing. They are isolated out in the world. A person into tabletop role playing games, either on a continuum or on a resurgence, right? Got divorced, split up again, getting back into things on the internet, trying to reestablish connection to the world or whatever, getting back to whatever. And you're in a world of people who are not connected to that, even to the degree that you are connected to people who are self-associated, or you can associate with as geeks or fellow nerds or dorks or whatever, however you want to characterize it. They can associate with you in the horror movies or the science fiction movies or this, that, the other. Even them, they might game as far as the video games. But as far as the tabletop role-playing games, a lot of, dude, unless you're dealing with, older people, many people have stopped this. There's been resurgences of things, especially, with things like, with COVID or whatever. It's like, fifth edition is bigger than, many of the other editions, but, a lot of that has to do with things like, counting things like, sales and stuff. But like I said, if it doesn't, go into, people going to that next step of, becoming DMs or whatever, or actually establishing in real life connections, then the people are just, basically they are playing video games. And if they have their choice between playing a video game that has high resolution graphics or playing video games that have no resolution graphics like Theater of the Mind, you can make all sorts of arguments why Theater of the Mind is better than computer graphics, but the kids don't see it that way, right? Oh man, kids, it's an acquired taste, but if you turn down that hip hop, if you turn off that heavy metal noise, and just turn your ear to the gentle, subtle strains of bluegrass, there's a world of music out there, a plucking for your heart to hear. The kids they'll slap you, right? You'll get punched. You will get punched. Do you know what I mean? And rightfully so. Try to sell bluegrass, 2020, and people, if there's someone out there like bluegrass is awesome. I get it. Like I'm making a point, right? It's not about bluegrass. It's about know your audience. If there's no DMs, there's no DMs. If the people are going to virtual tabletops, they're going to virtual tabletops. And if they're going to virtual tabletops because there's no players in real life, then they're going to virtual tabletops because there's no players in real life. And if there's no players in real life, then all of the arguments that people are making about why this stuff is superior to video games goes away. The only thing that really makes this tabletop role-playing game thing different than video games, I guess, is those things which are, social, those things which are products of real life interaction, real life spontaneous interaction with other organic human beings who are making spontaneous decisions and real life experiences in the moment. Do you know what I mean? And, I think people are thinking that, that Wizards of the Coast are creating these artificial AI DMs and giving that to the people because they know that there's a world of DMs and real life players out there, and they're trying to steal the kids away from those real life experiences and take them to this virtual space. And I don't think that that's the case. I don't know if that's the case. I could be wrong. I don't have anybody's analytics. I don't have anybody's numbers. I don't know. But I have a feeling that what WotC are responding to is the fact that they see the numbers, that they see what's happening, that they see the sales in print media versus, online media, how it goes, and, that they see that that's what's happening. and that if it's a virtual environment that they can control in that way, then there's no reason for them not to control it in that way. And to say that they should let other people in there, for fairness or all these other things, it's like, that's great, but you're describing a very radically left-wing progressive Bernie Sanders type environment. And a lot of people that are advocating for that are also the same people that on the other side will be pro-Trump and anti-SJW, and it doesn't make any sense. And that's, like I said, you can't have it both ways. This is getting crazy. And people are not making any sense. And a lot of the people that are just talking are talking, and a lot of the people that are talking are just talking, and people are admitting it. You have so many people that are coming out here and they're turning on, even me, I turn on the video, they say, I'm doing this for the algorithm. Look, I guess this is my opportunity. This is it. Everyone's saying it. So this is me saying it too. But all you old, what's the expression, grognards, all you old 1974 original edition of the original game, right? I'm telling you something. I never played the original 1974 version. I got uh, uh, Chris Gonnerman's Iron Falcon remake, and I got the Swords and Wizardry remake because it was, it's historical. It's a historical retro clone remake. I'm interested. Here's another Beasts, Men, and Gods. This is guy Bill Underwood. This guy's been basically playing the 1974 version since 1974. Look at this first printing, 1980. This book, oh Christ, look at this introduction. This guy's been printing this thing since Bill Underwood's been making this thing since 1980. Christ on a cracker. William Underwood, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch, I'm in. Bill Underwood's out there going, like, why are you cursing me, you motherfucker? Anyway, fantasy role play. Fantasy role play, or FRP, has been around for years now, and many fine games have hit the market, with many more coming out every day, it seems. So why, you ask, put out yet another one? Because reality, or rather the simulation of it through the rules of rolling dice, is not just one game company's opinion, and it is not easily defined by one limited viewpoint. FRP games attempt to simulate real life in a world where magic exists and enchanted creatures dwell. The argument that most game companies use when players indicate their games as being unrealistic is that their game is fantasy, and therefore does not have to be realistic. This, of course, is simply avoiding the issue, and we all know it. Perhaps the game giants that use this logic are technically right. See, the point is this: you know what this is? This is the point is that in 1980, that's 6 years after these guys had written Dungeons and Dragons, people like Bill Underwood were already like, these guys fucked up. This game is shit. Ken St. Andre, Tunnels and Trolls was written because Ken St. Andre read the first version of Dungeons and Dragons. It was like, this makes no fucking sense. This sucks. Everyone who acts like the original Dungeons and Dragons is like, ah, like when Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson touched dicks and created Dungeons and Dragons, Christ himself. It's like you couldn't be further from the truth. Like, it's like, whatever. It's going away. Remember, like you see like those old, like those pictures, like those paintings from like the dawn of like the American history, like 1700 whatever, where it's like the people, like the little kids, like rolling down the hill with like the wagon hoop wheel with the stick. No one does it anymore. Hold on. Wait. I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. Folks, listen. Nothing's perfect, but look, it is what it is. Will it ever go away forever? Well, look, as people roll dice and make signs on paper with graphite and do what they can, but will it be what it is? Will it be this thing? No, it's gonna change. Do you know what I mean? Things change, trends come and go. And it's like, board games haven't gone away. And I don't know if like, checkers and chess will ever fully go away, but there might be a time. I mean, there might be a time when people, when the electronics are so ubiquitous that people do get rid of the tokens and the marks on paper and the foldable pieces of stuff. Maybe. I don't know if that's tomorrow or the next day or whatever, but there are a lot of people that are, I think, when I talk about these unquestioned, assumptions and pulling off the veneer and these AI DMs and the VTTs. Look, I mean, people are, might be getting mad and upset at WotC because it's easier to get mad and upset at WotC than at Wizards of the Coast than accept the fact that Wizards of the Coast might be doing crazy, desperate things and trying to turn this tabletop role-playing game into a video game. Because when you see the world's biggest hula hoop manufacturer all of a sudden want to create a new thing, and you are their champion hula hoop spokesperson, you might want to start looking for another job or new career opportunities because it looks like hula hoops are going out of fucking fashion, right? When the guy who invented the pet rock starts thinking about new things to sell, your ass is grass, pet rock, right? Find a new box to live in, right? Your ass is about to be marked the fuck down. Yo, this is interesting. Oh, wow. This is a unique card. We are pulling from the Beautiful Creatures Tarot. And this is one of the unique cards. There are two cards, I believe, in this deck that are unique to this deck. That is, they're not traditional tarot cards. So I don't have to worry about going to a traditional reading or interpretation because I'm not familiar with this card. You are one. And it's marked with the word authenticity. You are one. So don't be one of the crowd. If you start saying what everybody else is saying and you start parroting, especially start parroting things that you have no idea what you're talking about, take stock, reappraise, reassess, and shut up. Speak about what you know. Bring to the voice bring to the table your voice and no one else's. And deal not with the messages of other people, because you might find yourself speaking coded language that you do not intend to pass on and you would never want to repeat. I love you, I love you, I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That's somebody's CW chanter. Make of it what you will, because you will. I love you. I truly do. Okay? Take care until then, folks. Thank you all for hanging out. Token Study, Mario Heat, Tim Frey, anyone else who I missed who I didn't give a shout out to. Starlit Meadow says, Starlit Meadow says, kids are often happy about RPGs, but rules heavy ones, including BX and such, are not the ones they seem to prefer. Yeah, everyone wants them to believe that they're going to like the old ones like they like, but people like the old ones they like the old ones because they like the old ones because the old ones were the ones that they knew, right? People love the edition that they grew up with, and they think that the edition that they grew up with makes all the sense in the world, and they have no idea, and they go, it's so funny. It's so cute to see all the old men. I love the videos, and I got to go. I'll be late. All the videos of all the old men. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, it's so cute. Folks, listen, quick invitation. This is you. This is the old men in 2000 and I can't wait till 2038. In 2038, watch this video. Imagine me with more gray hair in 2038. And so these kids are out here. These kids are out here on Venus and in Mars and on Pluto. Okay. Well, 44th edition, 44th edition, 44th edition. Okay, 44th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. 44th edition of what? 44th edition of ExxonMobil's edition of Dungeons and Dragons, which is what? Which is that and not Wizards of the Coast, 8th edition, 2008. This is Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're out here with your virtual eye goggle goo-goos plugged into your butt plug virtual reality float jars, with your Krimbopple flu bogs, you're having fun, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're young, but you're not playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm an old man. This is what I grew up with when I was 3, in 2008. You get it. I love you. Nonsense. 44th edition is base as fuck. Oh man, when they substituted friggin' artificial intelligence bots for artificial intelligent the androids because of the Plebnard district protests, I was like, here we go again. SJW madness 10011. These nuts. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told me they loved you, I gotta go. Bye. I love you.